Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged, USDA Prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes, enough to feed a monstrosity of a football player like the guy we have with us today. Anyway, check them out at UppercutChops.com on your mobile device or on your computer at home. Also, if you want to do that, maybe you want to give them a call. Find out what's for dinner, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, WOW Cable Television, and, of course, everybody tuning in on social media as well as hotel television in every metered market in America. That's about 210 markets from coast to coast. Tell you what, folks, we have a very special guest, and we're going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Damian Jackson. I'm a football player here at the University of Buffalo in New York. I'm 30 years old. I'm an ex-Navy SEAL, and thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
All right. That's good stuff. 30 years old. Listen, buddy, I was the go back to school guy, and I was the older guy in the class and the older guys in my teams. I want to know a little bit about how do you capture the locker room when you're the older guy? How are you viewed in the locker room? I'm going to jump right into it, man. I'm not wasting any time.
I don't think I'm viewed any different than just a normal football player. At least I hope I don't, because when I first got to, I used to be at Nebraska. When I first got there, yeah, everybody would ask me, like, how does it feel being the older guy? But it really doesn't feel any different, like being in there. You know, you adapt, you're part of the community, you're part of the brotherhood, being in the locker room, and everybody treats me like everybody else, so there's no treat me like an old guy, like an old man. I'm just like everybody else, like I'm 18 in there. So it's not really a big difference.
That's cool. So when you walk into the locker room the very first time, did you have the long beard?
No.
I was going to ask you if they thought maybe you were one of the coaches.
Yeah, I bet you people thought I was a coach, but my hair was pretty groomed. But the reason why I have all the long hair and everything is because I made a promise that I wouldn't cut my hair until I was done with football. And that was a little bit over 3 years ago. So I ain't cutting it till I'm absolutely done.
Nice. I don't think I've grown that much hair in my entire life. I mean, that's quite a bit. But anyway, so you had gone from the Navy as a SEAL, then you finish your duty there, and then you go to the University of Nebraska. Tell me about your experience there.
It was good. It was a challenge to get on the team. I never played football in my life before going to Nebraska, and trying to get on a team when you have no football experience is a little bit different, a little bit harder than your average high school guy with film and people helping them out. So just getting on the team was a little bit challenging. But once I made the team, it was great. They did everything for me. I put my heart and soul in Nebraska, did everything for them, and I enjoyed it a lot.
So your time in Nebraska, were you a 4-year starter?
No. So not playing football at all, it was hard to even get on the field. So
right.
The coaches suggested that I pick up long snapping, and I did. I started coaching myself on that and just trying to do everything with special teams. It took me 3 years to finally get on the field.
Well, a lot of people, the reason I asked that question, and I knew the answer, the reason I asked the question is because a lot of times people think in this magical world, in the sporting world, or in the entertainment world, whatever it is, that you could just step on the stage and you're not putting your dues in. And despite where you were before and the rigor of your program before, which is probably more than anybody can imagine that's never been in your position in the Navy, right? And so we think about the discipline, the hard work, the focus, sorry, there are no excuses, there are no days off. We do this every day. And when you translate that into a football environment where you've got scholarship players, right? You're the walk-on. right? I know that rodeo. I was
Yep.
in that one too. And you've got to not only prove yourself, they say, well, guess what? You're not in the Navy anymore. Now you're with us and you're going to have to prove yourself. And that's exactly what happened, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was a walk on, and again, it took me the 3 years to get a scholarship for there. But you can't just walk on there and expect like you're going to get everything. I had to work every day for it. I was new to the sport and everything, so it was tough just learning the game of football. Just when I first got into the meeting rooms, it was like a different language. I'd never really watched football on TV. It was just kind of like a new world for me. So if you have the athleticism and everything, it doesn't really matter because you still have to learn this whole new world, this whole new genre of stuff.
Damian, we had a conversation like this with a football player from the league, and he went basically the same path as you, and he'd never played football until he went to college, and he was a wrestler. He played soccer too. And so his name was Marlon Greenwood, and Marlon, who's the first Jamaican player in the National Football League. Nice little round of applause for Marlon. So Marlon worked with us for a while, and it seemed that Marlon said, look, his coaches said, Marlon, he was just a big, strong guy like yourself. They said, Marlon, go get the ball. And that's it. And so he was a linebacker, right? So he had 4 years with the Texans, 4 years with the Dolphins, starting linebacker, outside linebacker. And nobody ever really knew his name because he was just out there doing his job. It wasn't flashy or whatnot. But it was a similar story. He had never played football, so he had to learn the game of football. So the coach just simplified and said, just go get the ball, right? And that was it. And I'm sure every team has those guys. Just go get the ball.
Yep.
So when you started,
for sure.
Tell me about that. When you started, were you one of those guys, just go get the guy, like kill the guy with the ball? Remember that game on the playground?
Yeah, so it was kind of like that. They did start me as a middle linebacker, and then we got a new defensive coordinator. And after that, they put me on the D line. So moving from inside linebacker to D line was a good transition for me. It was a little bit easier on my brain, and and I did a lot of special teams, and that literally was just go get the ball. There's nothing about it. You don't have any rules. Just go run down the field and get that guy with the ball. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right. That's that game on the playground, right? And we all played that. Where I'm from and the west side of Chicago, we played kill the guy with the ball. And it didn't matter. And the girls played too. They were just as tough as the guys, if you know what I mean. Shoot.
Yep.
My sister used to whip my ass when I was a little kid, and it wasn't all the way until I was about 13 or 14 where my dad finally stepped in and said, no, don't be hitting your sister, none of that crap, because I got bigger, but she turned out to be a bodybuilder, just a tough woman. But ultimately, we think about that game as a kid, and we say, you know what, how do we bring those elements onto the field? And I think sometimes people will outthink a playbook. It's like, look, at the end of the day, bro, go get the damn ball. Go get the guy with the ball and stop thinking so much. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Even here at UB, they literally tell me the same thing. Just go get the ball. It's so much simpler just to have like an easy playbook and just make the rule. Don't have so many schemes. Don't have so many of this and that. Just go have fun and go get the ball, and it works out well.
So when you get let's go back to year number 4 at Nebraska, right? And now you're on the field and you're playing. You have to know the playbook no matter what in the first place. How many defensive plays are there in a defensive playbook? Most people don't know, including me.
It definitely depends on your defensive coordinator. The one that I had at Nebraska, it wasn't heavy in the play calls. I know that there are some coordinators that have play after play after play, but ours was simple, like probably no more than maybe 15. Like in total,
Really?
That's third down, that's first, second down, third down, fourth down. That's like everything together. But for the main meat and potatoes, it's probably like 8 calls that'll get you through. And as long as everybody's on the same page, you can play those 8 calls throughout the whole game, do just fine.
Right. And that's a big question because a lot of people have said, I'm watching all these signals and all these things, whatever, that your middle linebacker, who's basically kind of like the field general, right? Sort of calling what's going on the field and what they see as far as the setup on the offensive side. And I'm thinking, geez, there's got to be 40, 50 plays in this playbook, maybe even more. I don't know, because on the offensive side, it could be a telephone book, right?
Yeah. Offensively, I don't know anything about it too much, but I know they do have a lot of plays and a lot of things going on. But for the middle linebackers, they're the brains of the the defense, so even if we only have 8 calls, there's so many checks and things that they have to see with formations. That's why it always looks like they're going crazy out there, because just one call, they might have to set the D-line a certain way and then get the checks from the back end, the DBs, and just, get that defense running. That's why it looks a little bit chaotic.
Right. Okay, so folks, when we come back from break, we're going to be back here with Damian Jackson. What an interesting story. Of course, we could talk about Navy, et cetera, until the cows come home. But we're here to talk about sports and football. Maybe I might mix in a little bit of military in there just because, and we always support our military as well here on the Sports Circus. So I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas, and we're going to be back here on AMTV, AAMP.TV, as well as all of our affiliates, whether it's radio or television, with this giant human, but you can call him Damian Jackson. Back here in a minute, folks. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the circus.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio, AAMP.TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Folks, this segment is brought to you in part by our friends over at Legal Shield, providing legal protection and peace of mind. Legal Shield can help with traffic tickets, texting and driving, DUIs, court appearances, estate planning, maybe some monstrosity of a human stole your lunch money and you need help. Contact Legal Shield. Maybe they can help. 213-245-1305. That's 213-245-1305. Again, 213-245-1305. Or check them out online for more information at nocourt.us. That's www.nocourt.us, or email them at info@nocourt.us. First, an astounding round of applause for our friends over at Legal Shield. They've been with us since the very beginning, way back in the time machine, nearly 2,000 episodes ago. All right, I'm your Ringmaster Sal. A big welcome back to everybody also that's watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable Television affiliates, Hotel Television in over 500,000 rooms, gaining 4 million impressions per hour. Crazy number, folks. Also, everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA, that's home of the 49ers, New York Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome to everybody that may be tuning in Los Angeles, greater LA market, over NBC News, CNBC Financial with our friends over there, as well as right here in Las Vegas, KQQY. And over in Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, home of the 2021 World Champion Atlanta Braves, extending from Columbus, Georgia, all the way over to Montgomery. And over in Atlanta, WDJY, 99.1 FM. Also, Texas Tech Raider Radio, everybody that's picking up our content over there, 88.1 FM, KTXT, and plus everybody else streaming on social media, and you know who you are. Back here with Damian Jackson, former Navy SEAL turned football player. Now he's a wrecking machine on the football player, a large human. And guess what? From linebacker to outside linebacker to signal caller to long snapper. I want to hear more about this long snapper story. Welcome back, Damian.
Hey, how's it going? So the long snapping started when I was at Nebraska, probably I think the first year I was there, and it was really just me wanting to get on the field as quick as possible, and that was kind of like a route that I saw that like an opportunity that I had. So I didn't have a coach, didn't have anything. I self-taught just through YouTube and just kind of asking people around what's going on with it and like how to do certain things, like asking our own long snappers. And I got pretty good at it, and I've never snapped in a game or anything, but I was always the second string long snapper, just the backup, just in case on travel games or anything that happened. And I've just been keeping up with that for a long time. So I think my plan is, especially once we have our pro day here, is, just show out that I can long snap and, do everything on defense and special teams as well.
So what's required as a long snapper? How do you decide, I want to be a long snapper?
Well, it's just, you need to perfect the craft first of all, and just make sure you can hit them on the spot. But wanting to be a long snapper, it's just another position on the field. You just got to work at it and you got to want it. Not too many people. I don't think a lot of people really know about them. I'm pretty sure like a lot of people don't know a lot of them in the NFL. Like, yeah. So it's like, it's just not something that you'll get a lot of praise for. You're just kind of the guy in the back that's doing his job and making sure that you're always consistent and like people don't have to worry about you. And it's like just a great opportunity if you're looking to play football and you don't know what to do, or if some people maybe just not as talented as they want to be, like just look into long snapping, and it can kickstart your career and take you places that you didn't think you could go. But what's required from it, just being able to kind of run fast, run downfield, always be accurate with snapping the ball, and just making sure the operation time is always good and you're consistent, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, getting your reps. Talk about the discipline. And here's a parallel. I want you to talk about the discipline of long snapping. And of course, let's go back to your military training, right? Staying focused. And also, I want you to compare and contrast what that was like. I mean, you weren't doing this back in the day, but when the long snappers, well, let's face it, you couldn't defend yourself, right? Because you were snapping a ball and you had a guy right up on you. But now the long snappers cannot be hit. But I want you to talk about your discipline as opposed to the position in today versus what it could have been in yesteryear.
Yeah, so the discipline is just being able to do the reps over and over again. Because at first, when you start long snapping, it's going to look janky. It's going to look wonky. You're not going to throw the ball perfect. You're not going to have a nice tight spiral, and it's going to frustrate you over and over again, because it's going to look like you're failing and you're not doing it right. And you're just, why keep going if you're not getting any improvement? But that's where you kind of have to have the discipline and the mental fortitude to just tell yourself, like, this practice is going to make perfect. And just slowly, it took me probably 2 years to like consistently finally make it to the kicker or the punter, and like with a good spiral. So it takes a lot of time. You have to know that it's going to take a lot of time. You can't just expect that it's going to be perfect, even within a month of training. I was out there every day in the morning, for an hour every day, just doing it over and over again. And it looked like crap over and over and over again for well over a year, just inconsistencies. And then finally it just started kicking in, just doing it right, doing everything the same over and over again. And and you're talking about like back in the day when they weren't, like, when they're allowed to be hit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know too much about that. They changed the rule before I started that. So right now it's, snappers are protected. You can't line up over them. Nobody can hit them. The only time you can really touch them is if they bring their head up and they're blocking you. So you're well off as a snapper. Like, you can't get touched. There's flags going left and right.
Okay. All right. So you know how, and look, you played the middle linebacker position, outside you've played positions where you hit people. It is what it is. But now think about this. There's a certain stigma about maybe the kicker, almost like, and just follow me on this one, almost like the kicker is sort of an outlier on the team. A lot of people, and this is just socially speaking, all right? And you can speak freely if you want, and you can just say, shut the hell up. It's okay. So in many cases, as I've seen, and I know kickers that have played in the league, I've placed kickers and punters, and I've heard this several times, that kickers are sort of the outcast of the group. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's, from everything that I've heard, it's sort of the truth. Would you also group in the long snappers because you really can't hit them?
Well, I think you'd group all specialists into the same category. Like, they're great people and everybody needs them. But the kickers, they score the most. Usually, they score the most points on the team. Like, if you look at the scorebooks, they have the highest point totals on a team. But yeah, I don't think there's definitely a stigma about, like, because they don't really tackle, they don't hit, they don't do a lot of things, but everybody needs them. But I'm not talking crap about them at all. Like,
I have to ask. I think it's a great question, because people don't ask the question. Everyone's too damn scared to ask questions on air. Oh, I don't want to alienate the audience. Shut the hell up. I mean, seriously.
You would put all specialists into, like, their own little ring. They all belong in their own little special category. I love them, though.
Right. And, I have to ask the question only because they wear smaller pads, kind of like corners. Corners wear really small pads, right? Now, let's talk about that on your side in the last few minutes of the segment here. Do you wear smaller pads because now they can't line up over you, or do you still wear the big pads?
No. So when I was at Nebraska, actually, they tried to help me out, and they made pads for outside linebacker and long snapping. They're not very great for long snapping. They just have like a big V cut in them, but they're like normal size pads. But in an ideal world, I would wear a lot smaller, little thinner pads, because it just gives you more mobility. Like, there's no reason for you to, even if you were getting hit, the linemen are only coming off probably a yard deep from you and hitting you. So you don't really need too much protection. It's for those big hits. You need the bigger pads for the hits that are coming from 5 yards away. Some of those big contacts at full speed.
Right. And that's why I asked the question, because I'm thinking, well, you could probably get away with a smaller set of pads because you're not really dealing with a lot of, full on train wreck type of contact, right? So you're getting somebody bouncing off somebody else, and maybe you got to block them a little bit, but that's it. I mean, it's not like you're grabbing them and, doing this kind of thing much, are you?
Yeah, exactly. No, you're not. And if it was up to me, I wouldn't even wear the plastic on the pads. I would just wear the little cushion if it was up to me, but that's not legal. But that's how little protection I would want if I was a specialist.
Right. Well, look at it this way, especially if you're playing in weather. right? And in the next segment, I want to talk a little bit more about playing in weather, because you happen to be at the University of Buffalo where there's a little bit of snow every now and then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Right. Well, hey, let me ask you before we go to break, have you actually been out there at the Bill Stadium and shoveled the snow off of the seats and the field and whatnot? Because I know there's some kind of program out there, isn't there?
I saw this. The university sends out emails about people wanting to go and do that kind of stuff. I haven't been out there, but I know when the snowstorm came that there was too much snow to shovel off and people couldn't really get it off.
But and I tell you what, I think the games ought to be played in the elements come hell or high water, because that's a natural progression of the season. And in fact, that's where we're going to pick up when we come back from break. We're here with Damian Jackson, former Navy SEAL, turned football player, a wrecking machine on defense, and now he's long snapping. And guess what? You may see him on Sundays. Folks, don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. Back in a few minutes.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average and best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
I missed that intro by Barry Katz. Oh, man. folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the University of Buffalo Football. We happen to have one of their very own with us. Go ahead and reintroduce yourself and tell everybody about the University of Buffalo Football.
Hey, my name is Damian Jackson. I'm a current football player at the University of Buffalo in New York. I'm a defensive end there, and this is my first year there. So welcome. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, sir. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast, Hotel TV in every metered market in America, as well as, that would be Nielsen metered market, as well as Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, WOW, cable television, Time Warner affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and AMP TV, AAMP.TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. All right, so in the last segment, talking a little bit about weather in football. So we know the Buffalo Bills play in just a little bit of snow from time to time, which also means, well, sometimes the fans get a chance to possibly participate with the stadium. But let me ask you this, from a football standpoint. Now, as kids, I grew up in cold weather too, right? We had seasonal weather in Chicagoland. And so we know a little bit about snow. And the idea that I think, and I want your opinion on this, don't you believe, or do you believe, that we take the beginning of the National Football League season all the way until the Super Bowl? Should it or should it not be a natural progression of the season? So you start out in great weather, and then you're playing in the crap at the end of the season. Maybe it's a snowy day, maybe it's a rainy, muddy, mucky day somewhere in the country, whatever the case. Do you think they should play in the perfect environment or as the season progresses?
No, I definitely think you should play as the season progresses.
Yes!
So the Bills, they rescheduled their game and they went to Detroit to play their game. And we ended up canceling our game and playing it 2 weeks later. And I was extremely disappointed that we couldn't play. It was at nobody's fault. They ended up closing down the roads to all semi trucks. Nobody was allowed on it. So we would have played the game if we could, but we absolutely couldn't. But I was excited to play in the snow. I've had games in the snow, but nothing like that type of weather. It just looked like a Christmas morning, something you see on TV. I really wanted to play in it, and I was disappointed that the Bills and us weren't playing.
Right, and this is for the Bills and the decision itself. A colossal round of boos, because frankly, I think they should be playing in the snow. I mean, what little boy and girl doesn't see the snow out the window and want to run out there and play in the snow? Hopefully, it's good packing so you can make some good snowballs and stuff, right? But at the end of the day, these guys start in great weather. They should play, in my opinion, all the way through the snow and crap. I don't care if it's 10 below zero. Get your ass out there and play the game. That's how I believe it should be done. But, I asked a few players that I talk with on a regular, and they say, we want the perfect environment for the two best teams, blah, blah, blah. I get it, but I don't get it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I understand what they're coming from or what they're saying, because, you want your quarterback to be able to throw the perfect ball, not be able to throw into the wind, and all those factors kind of make – I feel like they're saying that because sometimes when you have the rain or the wind, especially windy games, it kind of like makes the game a little bit slow, or if there's a lot of rain, if there's a lot of snow, then maybe you can't pass the ball as much as you want, so it turns into just a running game. So I kind of understand people like that, but – I'd rather just play through the elements. Like if you got the wind, you got to throw into the wind. If you don't, you don't. Just like those are my favorite type of games. Just running through the water, through the rain. Like those games are so fun. I enjoy it. Like I know sometimes it's dumb cold outside, but that's just the name of the game. Everybody knows what you're getting into when you're playing football. You're going to have weather like that, and it should just be fun.
Well, Damian, that's what the fans know too. The people sitting in the seats know that. The people watching on television know that. And frankly, they want to see chaos on the field. Right or wrong?
Yeah, for sure. That's the whole point of sports entertainment, is just to see that chaos and to see your team do crazy things. And that's probably why people fell in love with football, because of how hard contact it was. That playing in the rain, just getting crazy hits and interceptions and all that. The more chaos, the better. And that's why people love football.
Right. And playing in the grass, and of course, with the players coming up with a face full of turf, that kind of stuff. I love that stuff. But nowadays, we see a lot of composite fields, and I want to talk to you about this for a minute. because those fields, and this is my own opinion. I can say this, folks, whether you like it or not, too bad. I believe that a lot of players are having, and I've seen the stats on this, there's more ACL injuries, more MCL injuries because there's no give in that turf that they're using today, whether it's a blend or whether it is a straight, like the old school artificial turf, right? The old AstroTurf. But now that artificial turf, so they say, well, the jerseys stay nice and clean. The problem is you get that plant foot in there and there's no give. And so that knee gets tweaked very quickly. Have you seen this on the field yourself? What's your experience playing on grass versus turf?
Yeah, so I've like both the schools I've been at, we both have turf, but there are some fields we played at Penn State and Michigan State that have natural grass on there. And those fields, they feel really nice. So, but also Nebraska, they put in new turf, like brand new turf a year ago. And that stuff feels like grass too. Like it feels really good, but I can't really speak on it because I've never really thought about it. I've never really cared to play in grass rather than turf or turf rather than grass. It really never mattered to me. It was never something I really thought about. And as far as people getting hurt, I don't know if I could say like I've seen people get hurt, but I can't tell you exactly if it's because of the turf. Mm-hmm. But I know that some schools that don't have as much money, like the turf, there is different factors in the turf. So some feel a lot crappier than others. Some feel a lot better than others. So there is a big difference between like what they're buying.
Yeah, as I've seen it, because I saw the stats, and actually the ACL injuries are up 19% from pre-turf to where it is today, right? Natural grass to turf. I've seen them up 19%. I've seen MCL injuries up 11%. And this is historical data. This isn't just something I'm cherry picking the data. These are things that I found, and anybody else can find them too. And I'm finding that, yes, the grip is great, but that's the problem. The grip is great. So let's face it, there's just no give in that turf. And so let's face it, if you are trying to, let's say you're playing in weather, right? And you're playing in weather on grass. We know that the field's slippery and slidey, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think your knees and your joints appreciate it a little bit more than not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Running on grass, we had a grass field and a turf field at Nebraska, and that running on grass definitely feels, I think it does feel better. And I do remember people saying like it feels better on the joints and stuff. So I can see what you're saying.
Right. And half the league is, I think 15 fields are natural grass and the balance aren't. And a little bit of information on those injuries. The home injuries, the injuries on grass versus turf, are significantly less on the grass. So there's a nice little bit of information. So if you're out there on your pro day, and let's just say you have a team, I know just to make a team, it'd be phenomenal, right? If you have a choice of a team that plays on grass versus turf, I don't know. These are things to consider because at some point now we're seeing players make business decisions on the field. Now, I've seen this, and you may not want to admit it, that you may have seen it because you're in the rodeo. But I could say, being up in the booth and being on the field, on the sidelines, I have seen players make certainly business decisions, and that's why they don't play in bowl games sometimes, because it may affect their forthcoming contract, right or wrong.
Oh, yeah. Are you saying like if there's somebody like draft eligible, or they're like they don't want to hurt themselves? I think mostly see it in maybe like quarterbacks and like interception. They're running it. They don't want to make the tackle. They just kind of let the guy go, if that's what you mean. Like right. I've seen that stuff on the field, and and then some people, business decision, like if you make a bowl game, I've seen people opt out of the bowl game because they don't want to get hurt. That it's their right to do so, and I understand why they're doing it, because there's a chance they already know they're going to get drafted, and there's a chance they might get hurt in that last game. So it's just better just save it and just go to the league and have a healthy career there.
Okay, so real quick in our last minute of the segment, I have this to offer as an audience member. I say, look, you were there in the trenches with these guys the entire season. Get your ass out there and play that game. Be a team member, and don't be an individual saying, I'm going to wait for the Brinks truck to back up to my house or whatever the hell it is, because that's not fair, and it's all about... Show me the money! I want to see these guys out there playing. Look, they started with them, finish with them. So there. What do you think of that real quick?
No, I totally agree. I think you should finish out the season strong for sure. There might be a few cases where it really matters, but other than that, you should be with your team, especially going to a bowl game. It's like a huge feat, or going into the playoffs, or just any of that. You should be with your team for sure.
Right. I mean, you fought all season. I think you ought to be out there, and let's face it. Same thing when a coach abandons the team. Well, I went and signed a deal somewhere else, so I can't coach you guys. That's a bunch of crap. Anyway, folks, we're going to be back here with Damian Jackson in our last segment. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus. Back in a few.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Don't wait. Call right now. 888-794-1630. 888-794-1630. Write it down. 888-794-1630. Again, for the last time, 888-794-1630.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident, or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer, and we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV mobile studio, AAMP.TV. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow. Folks, this segment is brought to you by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest. Of course, also make sure you check out our partners page. Lots of great partners that have been with us since the very beginning. One of those is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, welcome back to everybody. Radio, television, you know who you are. Everybody streaming, you also know who you are. Big welcome back to Mr. Damian Jackson from the University of Buffalo. And, of course, on that football team. So we talked about playing in weather, the natural progression, which is a great thing, long snapping. In case, folks, you're just tuning in, if you missed any part of this episode, make sure you go back to our recorded shows. Those are under podcasts, although this is not a podcast. It's an actual FCC show, but the real FCC regulated show, that is. But you can find all of our recorded shows on Apple Podcasts. They're on Google, Stitcher, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. That's really what it is. All right, so we're here with Damian. And Damian, where'd you grow up?
I was born in California, and I moved to Las Vegas when I was around 11. And then from that, I joined the military, and then I stayed in San Diego for a couple of years. And then I went out to Nebraska, and then now I'm here.
So where is home? If you say back home, what's back home?
Back home, my mom is in Vegas right now, so that would be back home for me right now.
All right. Of course. It was a leading question. I knew that. That's why, of course, we're right in front of the Excalibur kind of thing, right? But the idea is, I'm like, Vegas is a very interesting place. For all those people that don't know, there is a real life here beyond Las Vegas Boulevard. In fact, when I moved to Las Vegas, there was 800,000 people here. And now there's 2.6 million people, and it's growing like wildfire. It's unbelievable. So we think about growth in the city, growth in the TV audience. Hey, what do you think about the Raiders being here in Vegas? How do you feel about that? It's all right. It's just you and me. You could tell me.
No, I think that was a good move, actually, getting them. And then I honestly think Vegas should probably have a basketball team too, and they got hockey with the Golden Knights. Like it's a great place, I think, for sports and for people to go visit. So I got no issue with them. And I've seen the stadium. I haven't been there, watched them yet, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a big Roomba. You know those vacuums? It looks like the largest Roomba in the world.
The Death Star from Star Wars looks like a big Death Star.
Right. We will be getting baseball, and it happens that, folks, I can tell you on this program that I had a conversation with somebody on the transition team, and I can't tell you who. It's a friend of mine. Somebody on the transition team for the Oakland A's. They are representing the Oakland A's coming right here to fabulous Las Vegas. I'm still not sure where they're going to be playing. I believe they'll be playing at the ballpark up in Summerlin, which would be sort of west if you're here in town. If you know the city, it's west-northwest. That's where likely they will play until a new stadium gets built. And I believe a new stadium, Damian, is going to be over at Las Vegas Boulevard and Sahara, where they have outdoor concerts, etc., right across from the Sahara. And I don't know if you've been to Vegas lately, but of course, you may or may not have seen that the Fontainebleau, which has basically been the big eyesore for the city forever, finally has its signage up on the building. It's really the tallest building here in town. Have you noticed that, or have you been here recently?
I come home scarcely, but I don't go to the Strip, so I don't really know what's going on with all the buildings down there.
Right. I don't go to the Strip either, and I live here because I normally tell my friends and family when they come to visit, blow your money, do what you got to do, go get drunk, go get tilted, go spend everything, and if you're still in a good mood, give me a call, then I'll hang out with you. I mean, that seems to be the best way to do it, right? But like you said,
exactly.
So for 4Sports, yeah, baseball is coming, and now I've had Carolyn Goodman on the show a number of times. And, of course, the mayor here in Las Vegas. It's just a wonderful human. So much fun. I love Carolyn. And, of course, I was needling her a little bit last time about the basketball team because I know basketball's coming here. One of my friends actually is on the build-out of one of the stadiums, to be nameless. And so, yes, basketball is coming here, too. Now, I don't know which team it is, but I happen to believe it's going to be an expansion team, actually, because I first thought it was going to be the New Orleans Pelicans, and then I thought it was going to maybe be the LA Clippers, because this is Las Vegas, California, and the Clippers really would be a good fit here. But if you think about this, look at the success of the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm a season ticket holder, yes, and I would like to see our own basketball team here too. What do you think?
No, I think that'd be great, honestly, especially with how the Golden Knights did things and their first year, like all that stuff was crazy, like how they were doing it. So if we could get our own basketball team, I think that'd be nice.
Well, what would be really nice though, let's bring it back to football, is if you had your pro day, everything went great, and then you ended up playing for the local team right here back in Las Vegas. That would be exciting.
Yeah, that'd be something. I'd honestly go anywhere, but Vegas that'd be my number one choice, of course.
You know, that's funny. I think about back in my playing days of baseball, and there was a couple of teams that I didn't want to make a trade with. I didn't want to be a part of a trade, a 3-player, I don't care, a 3, 4, 5 player trade. I wanted no part of the Chicago Cubs. I grew up in Chicago. I rooted for the Cubs when I was a kid. They lost me when I was about 11 years old, and now I root against them every game, and I've done that for, well, decades at this point. And so is there one team that you just, well, I know you can't really say it, but you could say there is, but I can't tell you which one. Is there a team that you're like, oh, God, not there?
Honestly, no. It doesn't matter. Like, you could put me in a shoebox anywhere, and I'll stay there. It doesn't matter.
That's good stuff. Now that's the right answer. And that's, folks, that's without training. That's from the heart. And I love that. So, you know, when you think about, you know, going back to your military training, right? Discipline, 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 right? And that had to be a little bit difficult, though, kind of focusing and kind of shutting out the whole world. But now it's like you have to do almost the polar opposite, right?
Yeah, it's kind of definitely two different worlds. But, you know, I think I've done a decent job. I'm pretty quiet guy, so I don't really go out there searching for talking to people and media and stuff like that. So I've been able to kind of keep to myself, but it is a different realm that you have to kind of go into, being like when you're in the military versus being a civilian. It's a little bit of adjustment, but not too bad.
So your studies are going well. Everything has gone well in school, right? That's good stuff.
Yep, I'm completely done. Even here, the school's over, so no more classes.
Wow, that's exciting. I remember those days. Hey, look, I got my ACC shirt on today just because I made sure I didn't wear a Big Ten faux from your earlier days at Nebraska. So I kept that in mind. I have 2 of those, but I said, no, I'm going to keep that away from here. I'll keep the ACC thing going. So in your spare time, now that you have a little bit extra time outside of school, outside of football, outside of long snap practice, right? So let's say you go in as a specialist. What are you doing with your spare time outside of football and school and regular life outside of that?
Well, I don't do much. I don't really go out and adventure too much. But honestly, my mom and I are starting to get into breeding with Frenchies. I got 3 of them right next to me, and my mom has 4. So
let's see. Come on, you could bring one up on the camera. Let's see what. Grab one of them. Let's see what they look like.
Okay, I gotta grab them.
Here we go, folks. Damian's gonna go pick up one of his puppies because he has French bulldogs. Let's see what they look like. Everybody watching on TV. Oh, look at that! Look at that noggin. Now that's a coconut.
Yeah, this is my buddy right here. His name is Chubbs.
Chubbs, I love that. All right, Chubbs gets a round of applause. That's a handsome puppy. Look at him.
Oh, yeah. He's a good boy.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you're in the dog breeding business now.
Well, we're going to be. It's kind of, we're just starting out, so don't know too much. There's still a lot of things to learn, but that will be kind of the direction.
Nice. We'll have to put a link on the sportscircus.com for French bulldogs right here in the Vegas Valley, or regionally speaking. Now, I think that's something that I can control and would be happy to do it for you.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. So is it color driven? Because I know, like, for example, one of my friends breeds blue pit bulls, right? They like the blues, right? Say specifically.
Yeah.
Are you going after a particular color, so to say, or just whatever?
Yeah, so in the French Bulldog market, there's the classic colors, and there's also the more exotic ones, which Chubbs, he's blue as well. So those, like the blues and the Merles, those are kind of what people are looking for. There's also really rare ones that they're called fluffies. Those are super expensive. Going to try to get into that world, but it's all based on color and what people like.
What in the world is a fluffy French Bulldog?
So most of the dogs, like Chubb's right here, he's got really short hair, and the fluffy ones just have long hair. They're very rare. I don't even know how they came to be, but some of the dogs hold the genes for fluffy, so you could have long-haired ones. They're just really rare, so more expensive.
I would love to see one of those fluffies. Now, see, I used to go to the dog shows. I have 2 Shih Tzus, and one is an AKC agility champion. Believe it or not, she's just a little thing. Well, now she's kind of plumping up a little bit, but she was trained with the big police dogs right here in Las Vegas. And so imagine this little bitty dog with these enormous Rottweilers and German Shepherds and Dobermans and whatnot. It's the funniest thing going. So I get it with the whole dog thing, but I would love to see a fluffy French Bulldog. That's good stuff. Hey, listen, Damian, we've got about a minute left on the show. If there's anything you want to get out there and promote, maybe talk, maybe UB football or whatnot, anything, this is your minute. What do you got?
I don't have much. I just thank you guys for having me on the show, obviously. And thank you to the University at Buffalo. It's a great place, great community. Thank you to all my coaches and everybody that's helped me. But other than that, I just, again, appreciate your show and everybody watching. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's good stuff. And, I want to extend out a big thank you to Jim McNally. Jim, a friend of mine, a friend of the Sports Circus. And Jim, of course, if you don't know anything about him, just Google him. I think he's been in the NFL as a coach and or consultant for over 30 years. He's a big part of the University of Buffalo. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, he's in the Hall of Fame there as well, and a very active person in the community. So this is for you, Jim McNally. Thanks for joining. In fact, we're going to give Jim the super applause because we can. Absolutely. That's for Jim for making this happen today. And folks, that's going to do it for today. So Damian, thanks for joining us. Damian Jackson, and long snapper, watch for him. He'll be playing likely on Sundays. In my opinion, folks, this guy can do it. He's got better numbers than a lot of the guys in the league today. And guess what? This guy is going to be there, and we're going to be pulling for him. That's going to do it for the circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you next time right here on your favorite station. So until then, so long, everyone.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935 at 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.